welcome. I'm here at the 2014 ACFW conference in beautiful St. Louis, and you can see St. Louis behind us. We're sitting on a ledge and have this beautiful view. I am with Serena Chase, who is a contributor to USA Today's Happy Ever After blog, and also the author of multiple books, which I'm very excited about. Serena, please tell the audience about your books.
Well, I've written a fantasy series called the Eyes of Bavaria series, and it consists of 3 books at present. It will be 4, hopefully next spring. And the first 2 are a set that retell a fairy tale. The fairy tale I chose was Snow White and Rose Red, which is not to be confused with Snow White. It's a different fairy tale. And it tells it on an epic scope, in a new, fresh world, and with a little bit more girl power, and a young man who's not really a prince, but has princely qualities.
Yes, very nice.
And there is a nice little subtle spiritual thread going through it that is in this different world. So there are different names, but concepts that you'll understand. And the story takes them on an adventure to defeat an evil in their land, and goes over the course of 2 books, The Rin and The Remedy. And that is the complete fairy tale. In the second fairy tale that I tell begins with book 3, The Seahorse Legacy, and it retells the 12 dancing princesses. Now, in the first 2 books, the main thrust of the fairy tale and the most recognizable details from the original Grimm Brothers story are found in the first book. But I've kind of switched that around in the second 2-book set, whereas there are only little hints of the 12 dancing princesses to be found in book 3, but that story really comes to life in a really unexpected way in the 4th book. It's not out yet.
Very nice, very nice. And the 3rd book came out in May, The Seahorse Legacy. And have you always loved fantasy?
I have, as long as I can remember. And even if you think about even Cinderella, there's a fantasy element to that. And I grew up hearing fairy tales, and by the time I was 4, I had seen the cartoon version of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe on TV, and I loved it, and I fell in love with Narnia. And I have tried, as I've grown, to read those books every couple of years, the whole chronicles start to finish in chronological order, not in the order they were published, because it makes more sense to me that way, from the creation of the world until the creation of the new world.
Right. And yeah, you told me that every time you read it, you tend to see a new truth.
That's right. Yeah, the story grows bigger. I believe it's Aslan says something to that effect in The Voyage of the Dawn Treader. Maybe Prince Caspian. In Prince Caspian, he says something to that effect of, as you grow bigger, so does the story.
I love that.
And it's really true with those books. But as I've grown older, I've never lost that love for fantasy. And one of my other very favorite books is The Blue Sword by Robin McKinley. And it is a shorter book than I like a big, thick book, but it's a shorter book, and it's an award winner, and it's from the 80s, but I didn't even discover it until my 30s, which was not in the 80s. And I've read it probably 6 times in the last 8 years. And I even have it on audio. I actually just listened to it on audio this summer. It's what I listened to while I was folding laundry.
Yeah.
And I love the story and the world.
I love that. I'll tell you something that will make you a bit probably of me. When I was in England in 2011, I sat in the pub where C.S. Lewis had his writing group. I sat in the area, the chair right by the fireplace where the Inklings went on. And all that magic happened with, the writing of the Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
And C.S. Lewis's books as well.
Totally jealous now.
Yeah, I was, totally rubbing on the wood. Get some of that brilliance onto me. Definitely an awesome one. I love C.S. Lewis.
Everything here is gold.
Absolutely. So I love to ask questions of other fellow writers. But if you could live in just one scene of your book, go and visit it for a little while, what would that scene be in all 3 of your books?
In The Rin, that's the first one that comes out to me, because there is a scene scene in that book near the end when the main character, Renea, goes for a swim, and she is visited by these creatures that are no bigger than an eyelash, but they are made of light. And it is a scene that to me is so personal. I remember very vividly when I wrote that scene, and it's, first drafts change. A lot of what we write in a first draft changes by the time the final book. That is one scene that has changed hardly at all from the moment it kind of fell through me until the book was published. That scene barely saw a single change. And I was sitting in my dark cave of an office at 3 o'clock in the morning, because that's when the inspiration was flowing.
Yes, I know.
And we happened to have an invasion of mice in our house at that particular time. And I was sitting there at my computer, typing furiously as the scene it was in my head and I could see it happening. And the mice are running across in front of those little basement windows, just back and forth and back and forth. And I'm sobbing because the scene is so inspired. And it's, I'm not saying that, because of me, I'm saying that because I really believe that scene came straight through. And it still affects me that way till to today. I have hundreds, thousands of times I've read that scene, and it still brings me to tears.
I love that. I love the magic of writing when we're crying and we're laughing and all of that. When I finished my third book, I had on some headphones and I actually cried for 3 days. I was just so, overcome with this story within the veil. And my husband didn't know that I had finished the book. And he saw me and I was laying on the bed and I was just like, with the earphones. He said, "What's wrong?" And all I could say was, "It's just so beautiful." So that's when we know we have the magic.
I get that.
Yes.
I get that feeling.
Yes.
Yeah, that's definitely, I was there. Now in The Remedy, on a little lighter note, if I could live in one scene from that book, it would have to be a scene near the end when the evil has been defeated, the forces are victorious, and there is this kiss.
Oh, nice.
that happens between a certain knight and a certain princess.
Very nice.
And it's a world rockin' kiss.
Yes.
And if I could live in any scene in The Remedy, there's a lot of danger and scary stuff in that book that I would not want to live through.
Yeah.
I don't mind reading it, but I don't want to be the one there, experiencing it. But the kiss, if I was a single girl, give me the night.
Yes.
In The Seahorse Legacy, there's a lot more comedy in that book because it's featuring a pirate and a very medieval version of feminist knight named Ariel, and the pirate is Cassian, and they've been kind of missing each other. There's a very important something that Cassian has to tell Ariel, and he's missed all these opportunities due to either his stubbornness or her shutting him down because she's very verbally, she can shut people down. And so one way or another, he's missed these opportunities, and they're finally in the right place at the right time. They're together, but they're in this dark alley, and he doesn't expect her to be there. She doesn't expect to be set upon by two unsavory characters. And so she has been captured by one of them, and they smell very, very bad. And they are pirates, but they're very bad pirates. And she is just about to free herself with one of her many collections of weapons that she keeps hidden on her person. And Cassian shows up in the shadows as he's going to sneak into this building to meet up with her and tell her finally this something he's been needing to tell her. And so he saves her while she's saving herself.
Yeah.
And so now, they're both the hero of the scene. But then afterwards, there's a little bit of an argument as to who saved whom and who is responsible for the miscreants being sent on their way.
Totally see it.
And there's a repartee between them. And the chemistry that they share really becomes obvious in that scene because they are they're fighting like an old married couple and yet flirting like people who just met at the same time. So it's a fun scene. I would like to be, and I would like to be flirted with by a pirate.
Absolutely. And speaking of pirates, what do you love about pirates?
How much time do you have
Yes.
I love fictional pirates.
Yeah.
Obviously, I've done a lot of research on pirates of history, and I wouldn't want to be around any of them.
Right.
But in fiction, there's a romance and a charm about kind of swanky, charming, suave.
The open sea and the salt air.
And it's all about the adventure. And sure, you want to get the gold, but really you just want the adventure and maybe the girl.
Right. And the clothes, you know.
And the clothes.
The clothes.
Yeah, there's a little vanity about a pirate that's kind of endearing, and at the same time you kind of want to roll your eyes at them a little bit, but they have enough charm. It's that bad boy charm that really draws me to the pirate life.
Absolutely. Well, I am so excited for you. And would you please tell the audience where they can find out more about you and your books?
I have a website, www.serenachase.com. Very easy to find. Just type my name. I also blog at edgyinspirationalromance.com, where I can turn you towards some good inspirational fiction, and I put some young adult fiction there sometimes too. Of course, you can find my book reviews at USA Today's Happy Ever After. And I am on Facebook. I have an official author page on there, so just search for me on Facebook. And Twitter's at Serena_Chase. I'm a lot of places.
Yes, and be sure to follow her. She is super fun. I have been talking to Serena for a while now. Has it been over a year? Or
probably.
Yeah, and she's one of my favorite people. Just her posts and her tweets and
Thank you.
You know, the book reviews and all of that. So definitely check all of that out, and definitely check out her books. Thank you, Serena, for being here.
Thanks for having me, Brandy.